Most people know me for helping businesses integrate AI into their processes, but few know the 12-year journey that actually got me here. From selling phone cases out of my basement to pioneering the first Instagram direct message automation tool to losing everything when Facebook shut us down. This is the story of how I became who I am today. In this video, I'm walking you through my entire timeline, the wins, the losses, and the lessons that shaped how I see business and why I build what I build. This isn't a video about gloating. It's about connecting with you through my journey because I know we can all relate in some sort of way and understanding how these experiences shaped what I'm building today. But as always, before I get into it, I'm running a challenge for myself in the month of February to post 196 unique pieces of content across all of my social media using an AI system that I've built. This challenge is to prove that it's possible and to show how posting that much content could change the trajectory of your business. So to show your support, and if you want to follow along, please like and subscribe here. Plus, if you head over to my Instagram and direct message me 196 part of this story, you'll be one of the first to get the exact system once the month is complete. Now, I want to take you through the whole journey from the time I started my entrepreneur journey. I'm not going to have a Miro board open like I typically do. I'm drawing on my iPad there. I just really wanted to sit here and connect and just tell you the story from the beginning. In the early days of building business, none of us know what to do. But for me, as a typical Canadian, I grew up playing hockey. I mean, most of us do in some sort of way. I was very, very fortunate that I was able to play competitive hockey all the way up through junior and to play varsity at university here in Canada. At that point, I kind of knew that hockey wasn't going to be the thing that was going to be the forever dream anymore. Going to the NHL, like all of that stuff was just not in my timeline. And it was something I just lost the love for the game, which is completely fine. But at school, I also knew as an entrepreneur, and this is very relatable to a lot of business owners and a lot of entrepreneurs, school wasn't for me. I was skipping, I was flunking, everything that had to do with school. I had nothing. I didn't want any part of it. I really didn't. So after my first year, I ended up dropping out of university and was working for my father at the time, who runs a construction company up here north of Toronto. The big thing with this is, as I was driving, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do next. When I drive, I usually drive in silence. I don't have any music playing like a lot of people do, jamming along the highways. It's kind of a sense of meditation to me, forward movement, whatever that may be, whatever you want to call it. And I always had a love for iPhones. I always wanted to get the new iPhone that came out. It was just something every single year I was getting the new iPhone. I was fascinated by technology and how the world worked. So as I was driving along, it was, how can I combine a sport that I loved with a technology that I loved and put them together? And this is when I ended up creating my first business, which was a mixture of a phone case and hockey laces that held credit cards. It was a very, very cool concept. At that time, I didn't know anything about dropshipping, not a thing. This was pretty early days. I mean, it was over 12 years ago now, which is pretty long ago, and didn't know about Amazon, the drop shipping. All of these things were new to me. I thought personally, everybody had a manufacturer overseas. They got a product made and they brought it in and started selling it. So I ended up taking my schooling money, going on Alibaba and finding a manufacturer that was able to create this product that I had. I had cutouts of cardboard and putting it all together and shipping it overseas. I ended up having to connect multiple manufacturers together to get this final product, which was fantastic. I took all my schooling money and I put it into the business. 10,000 phone cases shipped to my basement, and I had no idea how to market. Zero. In my mind, I just like, these things are going to sit here. They're really cool. They're just going to sell. Well, I mean, that's not the case, as business owners know. Without the demand, your product is basically dead in the water. Solving problems is something that us business owners are good at as well. Well, I've got 10,000 phone cases sitting in the basement. How am I going to get it out there? This is when I jumped onto Instagram and I started trading product for shout out. This was pre-influencer days where people weren't charging large amounts of money. And I was fortunate that I was able to trade a product and get some sort of collaboration, some sort of giveaway with these communities to be able to start driving traffic to my Instagram page, which then started converting sales. I was really fortunate that with a couple of these campaigns that the product went wholesale, retail, and online within a few months, and the business ended up taking off for me, which was really nice. The big lesson with this is when I try and get people to think about is what is something, especially in the early days, that you could trade for some sort of output from another person. In my case, I had a product. I had something tangible that I could trade that has value, that is a price point for something in exchange. And it's getting a lot harder to do these nowadays, but thinking outside the box in those early days of starting a business, we've all had to go there. But even now, it's what can you do nowadays to just get ahead, get ahead, get ahead? And that's something that first business really taught me. It's just thinking outside the box in times when they're tough and figuring out what you own at its core that is tangible, that is worth something that you can exchange for something from somebody else to continue to move ahead. I ended up selling that business off because it just wasn't for me. Like, I just didn't want to keep up with all the different phone models. I didn't like the fulfillment, the warehousing. I just didn't like that, but still had a love for the technology. The big thing that I ran into with it is when I was doing all these campaigns and these giveaways with these brands on Instagram, my direct messages were blowing up. I just couldn't keep up with it. All of these hockey players and kids and even adults were in my direct messages. When's the phone case? How can I get it? All of this fun stuff. And as we do, there's got to be a better way to solve for these issues. I started joining some affiliate companies just to understand marketing more. But in the back of my head, I knew that this was a very, very core issue that needed to be solved. The big thing with it is I had a tool pop up on my radar where when a new follower followed your account, you could direct message them. These were pretty early days. I mean, this was 8-9 years ago now, when these things were pretty big. Everybody knew they were kind of bad for your accounts, but in the early days, they were helping businesses really connect with their businesses. So I ended up hiring my own engineer off Fiverr, and I was really, really fortunate to find somebody who we connected. I know there's a lot of horror stories from these Upworks and Fivers and all of these platforms where you can hire people, but I ended up having pretty good success because I jumped on and we ended up connecting on a human level, which is something that we are very passionate about now, is making sure that that human connection is still there. I grew up playing guitar, learning it from my grandfather. My dad had a guitar as well. And this guy was one of the original developers on a platform called Ultimate Guitar Tab. And if you play guitar, you probably know what this website is. Instantly, I knew that this is somebody that I wanted to work with. After that connection, we decided that we're going to build our own direct messaging company. It's like when somebody follows, you send them a message, and then you're going to continue to follow up. Because my head went in email marketing from going through some of the affiliate. You needed 7 touch points, which I don't even know what it's at now, but you need a lot more touch points before somebody's going to purchase from you. So we decided that we wanted to build like an email sequence in your direct messages first. That's what we wanted to do. When somebody followed you and then you started to email, a drip sequence things out. And this was 8 years ago was when we really started to kind of come up with this idea. The big problem that we ran into with it, and that everybody thought that there was this issue in the early days, was when somebody followed you, you could only direct message so many people in a day. Depending on the account, you might get 20, 30, 50. Some people said they got upwards of 75, but we never really seen it. The big breakthrough for us was, and this was 7 years ago, I remember the day, when somebody responded to our message to them. So they followed me, I sent them a message. If they responded, all of a sudden we had unlimited amount of messages that we could send. There was no cap to it because for some reason in Instagram's messaging, that was them basically giving you consent to have the conversation back and forth. This is what took our business completely to the next level. And now I asked you on all these videos, and you see brands doing this all the time. Direct message me word, comment word, do all of these things. I was without a doubt the first person on Instagram that started those campaigns 7.5 years ago. Direct message me word to get into the sequence. The reason for that is when somebody messaged us, I had the ability to send unlimited messages on Instagram. We were sending 50, 100,000 messages per day on an account without any throttling. It was absolutely insane, the breakthrough that we got for these businesses. That being said, we knew that we were running third party. We were trying to come up with a really good way that we could end up getting that official API with Facebook. Unfortunately, we ran into some situations where we no longer have that company. People can put their own story on it, however they may be, but that company was shut down, unfortunately. Now there's companies like ManyChat, and there's a couple other out there that are doing an amazing job. I use ManyChat today. It's like if you direct message me 196, that is the company that I'm using. They do a fantastic job. But to be a part of something that was so revolutionizing for businesses and to see the unlock that people got, this is how my brain works. I'm not necessarily thinking about your business. I'm thinking about how I can connect to your customers through some sort of interaction that your business already is selling or doing. And I don't know why, but that's just my zone of genius. That's just what keeps me up at night. And that tool gave me the unlock to be able to connect with hundreds of millions of people, sending over 1 billion messages on Instagram before people even thought it was a thing. And this set me off into developing software, developing software for businesses to help them connect with their customers better. So to back up a bit, yes, ended up losing that company. And in this time, it was everything to me. It was my baby. We've all been there where you feel like the world has completely shut you out. There's nothing that can make you better. You just feel like you're never going to get going again. I had all my eggs in one basket because I believed in this business so much. And as you can see, these tools are running today. I was in a very, very dark place for a long time. That is a story for a completely other video, but for these months, it was the most depressed, the most low, the most unfulfilled that I have ever felt in my entire life. And I never thought that I was going to be able to get out of it. There was one moment in that where I ended up calling my parents and just basically admitting defeat, dropping my ego and saying, I need to move home. The big problem with what I had was just this ego, this pride of building this tool and being an entrepreneur was the fact that I was worried what other people thought and they were going to judge me for moving back in with my parents after a business failing. When a matter of fact, once I made that decision, not only did the weight of the world get lifted off my shoulders, not one person cared. It actually brought my friend group closer. It has connected me with some of my closest friends that I have today and has built the resilience in me to be able to withstand more in business than most people can because of that stuff that I went through. I hope that everybody in business gets hit very, very hard by the long of business, of life, so you can be at that rock bottom as soon as possible, because it's the fastest way to build your own foundation, your own resilience, because this journey is not for everybody. But when you can go through these times, you can get out of the other side. When you start going through them again, you understand that there's more. You understand that there's more. And it was just such a learning experience for me to be able to be a part of that at such a young age. I was 27 at the time, so I'm 33 now. And it was the worst thing that has ever happened to me. It really was. On to the next thing. Because I knew I wanted to be in software and we had the developers and there was a whole bunch of stuff going on, we ran a development agency, which taught me I don't want to be a development agency. There's so many people who want to become a software company and they want to build these big softwares because they see these exits and all these things. When at the end of the day, most people have no idea what it takes to actually run a software company. When you start in a software company, it's not like an info product. It's not like you build a course, you launch it, you make a whole bunch of money, and then you do it in 6 months again. You really can't. And we joke around with these info product experts who just like steal each other's ideas and they kind of recraft it and they sell it themselves. And then they try and get into building software and you don't see the success that because it's not the same. When you start in software, you can't stop. It's not something that you can just pause for a period of time. You have paying customers, there's upkeep, there's maintenance, there's a whole bunch of things that come into play when getting into software. And it's the same thing with AI, is you need to understand, is like when you start committing to these things, you have to continue to commit, especially if you want to build your own AI software. Is that you can't just think of an idea and all of a sudden AI is going to run the whole thing. And there's a big pain point that I ran into with running this development agency is I didn't want to work with people in the agency space because you have to build them a software where they don't even really know how it works, but they still want all the upside of these billion-dollar exits that they see on social media, which we know when we're sitting back at home, that's unrealistic. It really is. So I have the phone case company. I sell that off, get into building some simple automations, get into building the first direct messaging tool, have that company shut down, start building a development agency and really starting to understand these. The development agency didn't work, ended up shutting down the business. Just clients weren't coming through. People weren't spending the money, which was completely okay because I went back and I reset and tried to understand it's like what I wanted to do in the future. A friend of mine reached out to me because I still had the development team and he was launching a project on crypto.com and he wanted some support on it. We ended up doing extremely well on this launch. We were a part of, this was pre all of the scandals and stuff that came through, and we really set out to build an amazing platform for what we were trying to do. But as these communities work, sometimes just projects don't work out. They really don't. So after that, same thing, back to the drawing board. What am I going to do? I still was into the technology. I really wanted to build something that could give more than just directly to a business or directly to a consumer. It's always, for me, it's business to consumer. The user experience side is what I loved. This is when I started actually building my first AI company 3.5 years ago. It was called Creative Clips at the time, where it was helping creators storyboard out what they were supposed to record or do. As we know, it's very tough to get behind the camera sometimes or understand what content you're supposed to do. So I created a company called Creative Clips that helped you storyboard out all of your content that you wanted to create so you could go and create it. It was great. It was doing good. The platform worked extremely well, but it was an individual product that still kind of wasn't enough for me. One day I was watching a show called Shark Tank. I don't know if you've never heard of it, depending on where you're watching this from. There's another show called Dragon's Den that's also very similar. And it was one of those things where I've always watched Shark Tank or Dragon's Den from the pitcher's perspective. The problem with that is it's an individual continuing to pitch and you're chasing. You're trying to chase the next thing. When for some reason that day watching it, it was like the sharks, the investors, they don't do the work. They've got their mechanism that when they invest their money into and their resources into, the business grows. So what I did is, while still running Creative Clips, I was mapping out every sort of a business that I believed was part of this mechanism. So you've got your marketing, you've got your sales, you got your finance, you got all of these different departments that you need to map out. Some call it organizational charts, some call it accountability charts, but what are the departments that I need to become the shark in the sea? because I've been through a lot already. I've had the success. How do I take this and amplify it so I don't have to keep building products over and over and over and going through that startup grind? That's where my head was going. So I reached out to my business partner, Matt Farmer AI on all socials, where he's got over 300,000 followers on social media. The funny story about me and Matt is he used to run the paid advertising for the direct messaging company that got shut down. He was able to help us completely amplify it through paid advertising and was a part of the success that we had 100%. The agency that he was in, he ended up selling off his part to that agency and going on his own. Being a family man, just to kind of give you a quick story about him, with 6 kids, he became a TikTok influencer where his kids looked up to him more about that than how much money he could put in these info product companies. Like the connection to those as being the family man, the kids just looked up to him. So he doubled down and becoming this AI influencer and really teaching people in 60 seconds how to use all the cutting edge tools that were being released 3 years ago. Really, really early days. So I was explaining this organizational chart, this mechanism that I wanted to build. I showed him creative clips that I've already pre-built, and then he was already building out this influence side on the AI. I didn't even know about the AI stuff that he was doing. I reached out to him because he's one of the best marketers that I've ever met my entire life, especially in the paid advertising. He sees numbers that nobody ever sees. But again, for another story. We're having this conversation. We haven't spoke in probably 2 years at this time. And part of this conversation was, I believe that AI is going to be able to do this in the next 3 to 5 years. And right then, the business was formed. We came together to build what we have now. Over the last 2 years, we have been building Cloud 37, which has helped hundreds of businesses integrate AI into their processes so they can scale profit. This is the big thing. There's missing pieces in businesses, and I'm going to continue to go through these throughout this month and throughout all my content on social media. But that whole journey is what taught me each time how to get to where I am today and why I'm here today. What we're building at Cloud 37, I'm extremely excited for 2026 and the businesses and the clients that we're working with, because we're seeing massive results, because we're helping take their expertise, what they've worked so hard of building, just like my journey, and helping them scale it to their customers to give them a better experience, to generate more profit, but also to continue to drive more value to their customers. And this is the vision that we've set out to do when building this whole business out. We've gone through the process of running an AI agency. We understand the pain points of running an AI agency, and it's very, very tough to run an AI agency because keeping up with the meta. The amount of people that I've seen have come from selling a course and now being an AI engineer, prompt engineer, is absolutely insane. People are falling for these traps of, I believe this person because they've got a big following or whatever it may be. These people have zero clue how to actually integrate AI into businesses, and they have zero pass of any sort of business model that should give them the credibility to be able to do so. It drives me up the wall to see some of these people doing what they're doing and selling what they're selling because they're teaching the markets wrong. And it's making it more difficult for the people who are doing an amazing job, who are teaching people the right way and integrating it the right way. It's teaching the market the wrong thing. But at the end of the day, don't hate the player, hate the game. These are all things that will come. But to me, I know that these people are not going to survive in the industry. And there's going to be a very, very small group of people that do survive when the AI continues to take off and the people who set up their foundation right. And that's why I've set out to create this content for you guys so you can understand what it truly takes to integrate AI properly into your business, giving you all of the keys that you need on how we've done it. My journey is, for some people, long, some people short. It doesn't really matter. We've all got our journey, and each part of the journey continues to tell the next part of our story. It really does. It shapes us who we are. It builds the connections that we have. It creates the mindset, the resilience, whatever you want to look at through your journey. but I do recommend that more people tell their story because it allows you to connect with people on a deeper level. Just like this. This is why I thought it was so important for me to come in here and tell this story to all of you. So I hope that you enjoyed it. I know it's a little bit longer of a video and I don't have the mirror board there, but if you have stayed to this point, again, I really, really do appreciate it. And I'm really excited for the rest of this month because there's going to be so much good stuff that I am going to give you on everything that I'm doing every single day to integrate AI, not only for ourselves, but for our clients. So to wrap it up, please like and subscribe. I'm doing this for the month of February. Head over to my Instagram page and direct message me 196. Now that you know that I was part of that whole direct message story, it kind of makes it a little bit more personal. So I hope to see you over there as well. But tell your story. I hope you enjoyed mine. I'd love to hear some of the stuff that you've been through and how you've gone through some of the resilience and what you're working on now. But as always, stay dialed.